I've always loved horror games, but VR hits different. It doesn't matter how many times you tell yourself it's just pixels, the headset blocks out the real world so completely that your brain doesn't know the difference. And that's exactly why I bought the game. It was some no-name indie title buried in the bottom of the VR store called Night Whispers Prologue. No reviews, no trailer, just a single black thumbnail with the text, "Do you want to see your fear?" It was only $4.99, and I figured maybe it was a prototype demo someone forgot to delete. I'd buy random indie stuff all the time, so I didn't think twice. I should have, because from the moment that the game booted, something felt wrong. When I launched the game, the first thing I saw was a void, black, infinite, silent. Then a whisper, "John." I froze. My heart kicked into my ribs so hard it almost hurt. That wasn't my name on my VR account. That wasn't my name on any of my devices. It was my real name, my legal first name, one I never use online. I ripped off the headset immediately and checked my profile, my system settings, everything. There was no trace of my real name anywhere, and after a minute, I convinced myself that I misheard it. VR spatial audio can be weird sometimes. Maybe it was just static. Maybe it was the game that used my account names in some glitchy way, even though it didn't match. So, I put the headset back on. The menu now had text floating in the darkness. Play, settings, exit. Pretty normal, except there was a fourth option I didn't notice at first. Look behind you. I turned my controller, but nothing moved. The cursor wouldn't highlight it. I thought maybe it was a decorative, like a creepy little joke. So I selected play. The screen flickered. A long, glitchy sound rang in my ears. Then the whisper came again, this time clearer, louder, and unmistakably using my full name. "Are you ready, John Rittenhouse?" I froze so hard that I swear my blood went cold. That name, my full name. I never said it out loud near my headset microphone, and even if I had, why would a random indie game know it? Before I could even think about quitting the game, a loading screen flashed. Calibrating environment, scanning room, scanning player. Then the floor appeared beneath my feet, and I realized what the game had done. It had recreated my bedroom perfectly. The same layout, the same walls, same cheap floor lamp tilted slightly because the base was uneven, same pile of laundry I swore I would deal with tomorrow. Even my computer monitor showed the same wallpaper I had on in the real world. Every detail was accurate. The air felt heavy, like the room wasn't mine anymore, just a copy of it. "What the hell?" I whispered. The in-game lamp flickered. At first, I thought maybe the game was using pass-through, some kind of camera mode, but my VR headset doesn't even support real-time room scanning, and the textures weren't photorealistic. They were slightly off, like someone tried to hand model it from memory. There was a new sound now, a faint, constant whispering coming from the corner of the room. I turned, nothing. But the whispering grew louder when I faced the empty corner nearest the door, like the sound was leaking through an invisible crack in reality. "Okay, very funny," I muttered. "Whoever made this is really committed." A message appeared in white text on the wall. "Please take a seat on your bed." My real bed was behind me, the in-game bed was too, but I didn't sit. Instead, I opened the pause menu, only 3 options: resume, no, yes. The last 2 were strange. Clicking yes did nothing. Clicking no did nothing. And there was no option to exit. Fine. I reached for my headset's power button, but it didn't work. The game kept running. The whispering stopped at the exact same moment someone or something knocked on my in-game bedroom door. 3 knocks, slow, deliberate. I snapped my head toward the door. I knew it wasn't real, but the sound felt physical, like it echoed in both worlds. The game displayed more text on the wall. "Don't let him in." Another knock. This one softer, like the person outside was dragging their knuckles down the wood. More whispering seeped from the corner of the room, only now the whispers weren't random. They were layered, like multiple voices speaking at once. And I heard my name in them, again and again. I backed away until my virtual legs hit the bed. That's when the doorknob began to turn, slowly, quietly, with painful tension, like someone was twisting it with shaking hands. Nope. I reached for the power button again. Still nothing. The door creaked open about an inch. Something pale peeked through the crack, just enough to see one eye, except it wasn't an eye. More like a hole, a hollow socket with movement inside, like something was crawling behind it. The door shut violently. The entire room went black. When the lights came back on, I wasn't in my bedroom anymore. I was in a hospital hallway, long, tiled, too bright, too sterile. The lights buzzed overhead like dying flies. Every door looked the same. My controllers vibrated with a heartbeat pattern. The game whispered, "Follow the sound." At the end of the hallway was another door, slightly open, light spilling out. I walked toward it, each footstep echoing like a room was entirely empty. As I approached the door, the whispers changed. They weren't random. They were words, my words, things I had said in private moments, arguments, late night venting, fears I never told anyone. The game was repeating conversations I've had when no one was around. My real voice copied perfectly. Okay, stop. End game. I tried everything. Menu button, home button, voice commands, hard reset. Nothing worked. The door at the end of the hall creaked open wider. I stepped inside and found myself back in my bedroom, except this time the copy was decayed, rotting, burned in places. There were deep scratch marks on the inside of my bedroom door and the message written in something dark across the wall. Sit down. My bed in the game was shredded, but something was sitting on it, a figure, bent forward, head hanging low, shoulders twitching like it was laughing or crying. I couldn't tell which. "Hello?" I whispered. The figure froze. Every muscle in its back went rigid. Then, with a slow, unnatural movement, its head turned. Not lifted, but rotated, all the way around, facing me upside down. Its mouth stretched too far wide, and in my own voice, it said, "You should not have listened, John Rittenhouse." I stumbled backward and hit my real dresser, almost knocking over my lamp. But in the game, I fell into the floor. I could see the creature crawling towards me, fast, its limbs bending the wrong way, it reaching out and grabbing my ankle. I felt the pressure, actual physical pressure, like fingers digging into my skin. Adrenaline shot through my body. I ripped off my headset, but I wasn't in my bedroom, not fully. Because even without the headset, I saw the movement in my peripheral vision. My room looked normal, mostly. But my bedroom door, the real one, was cracked open, just like in the game. And there were scratch marks on it, fresh ones. I stood frozen, staring at the door. Then something whispered behind me, "Don't look." I spun around. No one was there. The VR headset was on the floor, still running. The creature on the screen was standing in my doorway, tilting its head at me like a confused dog. Then it whispered through the speakers, "Why did you leave?" I kicked the headset away. It slid across the room, smacking into the wall hard enough to crack the outer lens. Good. Maybe that would shut the game off. The screen stayed on, and the creature stepped forward again. Even without the headset, I can hear its steps, soft, wet, approaching. The screen began displaying text rapidly, over and over. "Put the headset back on." I didn't. I bolted out of my room, slammed the door behind me. My heart wouldn't slow down. My breathing was at a full panic attack. I went straight into my kitchen, grabbed the VR headset, wrapped it in a towel, and smashed it with a hammer until it was in pieces. When I was done, I was sweating so hard it felt like I stepped out of a shower. The screen still flickered for a moment before fully going dark. I didn't sleep that night, but worst of all, that wasn't the end. The next morning I checked my computer to see if the game was still installed. It wasn't, but there was a new file on my desktop, a text file named lookbehindyu.txt. I stared at it for almost a minute before I forced myself to open it. Inside was a single sentence, "Next time, don't leave me in the dark." That's when I felt the whisper right behind my ear, soft, warm, human. "Let's play again tonight." I ran. I moved out the next day, and I haven't touched a VR since. But sometimes, when the room is quiet, when it's past midnight, I swear I still hear it standing in the corner, waiting. Because whatever that thing was, I don't think it was ever a part of the game.